Okay, you're on.
Today is Monday, September 16th, 2024. This is a regularly scheduled board meeting of the Pocahontas Public Schools. As we start this meeting, if we could just observe a moment of silence for Highland School District and their loss of one of their students, please.
And I'll personally remember that, guys. I just got back from the funeral, and it's a real sad situation. We've been through it with our students, but Brooke Pendarvis was 17 years old. She's the one that was killed in an accident. I'm sure everybody's aware of that. But it kind of, it kind of hits home. We've dealt with it with students of ours, but the community of Highland is really grieving right now. And from a personal standpoint, this is a family that's friends of mine. She plays summer basketball with my granddaughter. Her dad, I worked with him for several years. He's the game warden in Fulton County. But it's just a really sad situation. Let's just think about the family and the Highland community. Their coaches were a part of the service today, and there's a lot of grief going on in Highland right now.
Thank you. Dr. Arbuckle, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. The board has in their packet the minutes from the regular meeting of August 19th. I'd ask the board to take a look at those minutes. If there's any questions, certainly be happy to try to answer those, or if there's anything that needs to be adjusted, we can do that. If not, then we would just need a motion to approve.
Make a motion. Oh, second.
Been a motion and a second to approve meeting minutes from our regular meeting August 19th. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries 4-0.
All right. The second item on our agenda is Mr. Carter and Mr. Lindner are here, and they're going to share with the board an update regarding our screening process for our K-3 kiddos, and then the upcoming high-impact tutoring on our elementary kiddos up through 6th grade. So, Sean, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. You want to talk about the screening process?
Yeah, let's start with kindergarten, and you kind of share that whole piece.
The PowerPoint we shared with you on your drive, that's going to break down the state required screeners for K-3 at this point. We are now in, the 4th week of school, 5th week of school, and we're still screening. Kindergarten is doing the Atlas screener this week. Should be finished with it by Thursday. Once that's done, we will have a starting point for the state requirements. That will be reported out to us by October 14th. And at that point, we'll be building our eyes off of the state required screeners. We have a process right now that we're building those, but it's not off of the state screener. It's off of what we have done in the classroom off of Ainsworth.
Can you remind us what IRI is?
The intensive reading interventions. Every child that scores below proficient in a K-3 classroom has to have one by law. And we are doing that now to match the deadline of October 1st. But again, in October, they will be produced by the state screeners. So the issue with us screening is that we have 4 or 5 different assessments starting at the beginning of the year. Like I said, we're in week 4 and we're still doing screeners. They are computer based, so that's the reason we kept kindergarten to the last week. third grade started the second week of school, and we've just progressed through.
And you'll notice in your presentation that Sean and Chris put together, you'll see there the spring monitoring for kindergarten, first, second grade, slide 6, and then slide 7 is the fall Ames web screening. So it gives you a little bit of idea of you know, what that looks like for first, second, and third grade. So keep in mind that the cohorts are kindergarten in slide 6 is going to be first grade in slide 7. First grade in slide 6 is going to be second grade. So you'll see there that you've got a little bit of what I'm going to call a summer slide in that first to second grade, world, and a little bit in that second to third grade. And so just something that every school district we have to work through, just like everybody else does, but it is something that you can kind of pick up on from that data.
Well, and we've gone back to the Lexile scores. And we'll get into that when we start talking about the high impact tutoring. But Lexile scores are developed from the NWA. Well, in first grade, there's not a good score of Lexile for first grade. So that's why we have a high identified number in first grade according to the Lexile. It's beginning reading. If you look at that slide, I think it's 6, you'll see that in the spring we had high proficiency, 76% of those kindergartners were identified as mastering the skills of kindergarten. Very simple letters and sounds. That's based out of our high impact or our highly qualified instructional materials. That's the monitoring that we did last year. So to us, we looked at 76% moving on to first grade, having mastered kindergarten material. Then we assess them in the fall using Ames Web, which is converted to a Lexile score. It's a totally different skill because in first grade, they are assessing oral reading fluency in the Ames Web. So it's a different skill that was assessed. So that's why the numbers look so much different. In the first slide, you'll see that the numbers, as they got older, decreased. And in the second slide, you'll see that the Lexile scores improved in the second slide. So we have more third graders on level in the Lexile score. Now, second and third grade, the Lexile score is based on comprehension. And again, so it's a different skill.
Are these alarming to you at this stage? And like you said, we're in the 6th week. I mean, should they have retained more than that from second to third grade?
No, because again, we're looking at 2 different skills.
I'm sorry, I didn't clarify my question. So on the Lexile scores, when you go from second to third grade, you've got, 59 to 38% for third grade.
Those are different kids.
Yeah, it's a different cohort. So that third grade you're looking at in fall
Okay, I got you.
24, they were the second graders in the previous
slide, but that was a different measure.
Right.
Exactly.
So how helpful is this data for measuring 2 completely different things?
No,
It's not apples to apples, right?
Exactly, but that's the reason I put it in there is because if you looked at the slide where we're showing 63% of first graders being identified on oral reading fluency. We have not scaled them on oral reading fluency before.
Prior to this.
Exactly, so we're changing the gap issue.
Okay.
Whereas our numbers in the spring, we were reporting a very good skill, very strong skills in kindergarten, letter naming and sound, so phonics, phonemic awareness. Then we changed the measure on them, but it's necessary because of the high impact tutoring. That's how they are going to group them for high impact tutoring.
Okay.
But the reason I added that is because I didn't want you to look at that, holy cow, we've got 68% first graders. No.
Okay.
It's because it's a different skill.
Sure.
And even in Lexile, again, it's not a good measure. Oral reading fluency of beginning first graders is not the best form of measurement. Even Lexile only marks them as beginning readers. It doesn't even give them a number. If you go into second and third grade, you get ranked on Lexile. So you get a ranking score, 64, 78, and then where the mark is. But in first grade, they don't even have that ranking score. They are just listed as BR, beginning readers.
Okay.
So one of the, I mean, and as you point out, right, one of the challenges the state has had over the past few years is there hasn't been a K3, K2 test across the
Right,
board,
just started
right?
at third grade, correct?
Yes, the statewide standards.
Right.
So before that, K2, we could use, well, we used NWEA, but you had the choice of that and iReady and iSteep, I think. And we stayed with NWEA for the duration of it. Now, all that's being taken away and replaced with the Atlas screen.
Right.
And in a perfect world, what's supposed to happen is they take the test, the teachers get the results immediately, right? Right now, the state is having kids take the test, then they're embargoing those scores.
That's right, you said that previously.
And they're not gonna let them loose until October 14th. That's why Sean's mentioning October 14th. So the challenge for our building is to create a plan to help kids improve without knowing what the actual data says.
How they
Until
need to
2 months
skill
or,
set or-
yeah.
Right,
until 2
and
months.
so they're creating plans right now with the best data that we have available, and again, in a perfect world, we're gonna hit the bullseye every time, right? But we know that when that data is released in the middle of October, they're gonna have to start over and go back and recreate, or as Sean puts it, you know, the system will tell us, here's what their individual reading plan should look like.
And what's the reason for the state delay?
It's just a rollout, yeah, I mean, it's their
Because this is
rollout.
the first round of the screeners.
I mean, you have to go back to the LEARNS Act, right? The LEARNS Act said 15 days or within 30 days of the first day of school. Well, part of the challenge is that in a lot of the state, the first day of school was in July, you know, the third week in July. Well, they didn't have it ready at that time. In fact, they didn't have it ready until what, the 27th, I think it
26th or
was?
27th, yeah.
Of August.
August.
And so we couldn't even meet the, you know, so what the state said was they reached out to us as districts and said, well, we're gonna push that back. You just have to make sure you get them tested by September 27th. And that's where we're
Effectively,
at.
they'll be in the second 9 weeks before they get individual.
Correct.
plans.
Based on the screener. We'll have them based
Sure.
on the data we collect,
But
but,
it's almost like you're having to do it twice.
oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, absolutely.
But they're putting them in, and let's kind of go ahead and talk about that. They're putting them in groups for the high impact tutoring. Remember, this is the grant that the board chose to allow us to do. And the high impact tutoring has to be delivered inside the school day. This is not an after school piece, and so these guys had to make sure that their schedules allowed for that 30-minute or so high impact tutoring sessions to happen with a large number of our kiddos.
You want to tell a little bit about it?
I can tell you a little bit about that.
Numbers on it?
Well, we got the grant, high impact tutoring, everything he said. Book Nook is the actual company that's doing the tutoring. Little information about them. It's a 10-week program, and then they're splitting that up. They have 2 10-week programs, but our first one starts September 24th. We have presented, we've made rosters of the kids that we've selected. They've taken them, they're grouping them. We haven't seen their groups yet, haven't released them, because they have a 1-to-4 tutoring ratio. So 1 tutor to 4 students, that's max. And they tell us that it's probably going to be a lot of 1 to 2 or 3, just based on the groups and the size. One of the big concerns that Sean and I both had were, would a company be able to have this many online groups? Because I think at one time, I have 13 or 14 groups. He has about, what, 19 or 20. We've been talking to him, and we've asked the question a couple times. It's like, oh, that's no problem. 35, 40 groups, no big deal. So they have a pretty vast array of tutors across the country. Most of them, I think they said, come out of Michigan and Texas.
But again, they assured us they'll be able to cover our number
To cover the numbers,
at any given time.
and it's 3 sessions a week, We both kind of have what, I think his is called tip time, mine's called win time, what I need, and I forget what yours is.
We implemented tip time last year where we split an entire grade and focused on specific skills. We can't do that this year because the time just doesn't allow it. So everything's becoming hit time, which is high impact tutoring time.
So we have several times, each grade level has their own time. Sixth grade has 2 times because we have a band time in there that we can, we've added extra people in the 6th grade for tutoring because we have a band time that we do not have everybody together. So we have 2 times to do tutoring. We're going to stick more kids in tutoring. As far as this goes, Book Nook, because they assure us that after every time they meet with their tutor, which they're all certified through Book Nook, they have a list of subs and everything. So they said about 3-minute time, I believe, if somebody doesn't show up, there will be another tutor automatically within 3 minutes. So the kid should never miss more than 27 minutes of tutoring, 3 days a week. So they're completely based, science of reading, their whole program is all based on science of reading. So more or less everything our teachers have trained in, they're following those same things. It's all different depending on each group of kids, all based on their Lakeside score. So they're all over the place. I mean, as far as, we're still a little unaware if they may group some of his and some of mine together. We're not positive on that yet. He said he wouldn't know until he looked at all the scores, because we could technically have a 4th grade student that is on the same Lexile score as a 3rd grade student. So that may be one way that they take advantage of some of their tutors and knock some of the groups down, making it a little easier on them. But they're going to give us reports. Supposedly after every tutoring session, we'll have a report available. It's uploaded, and within the next day, we should be able to share that out with teachers, parents, interventionists, anybody that we can. We're going to go in after the 10 weeks. We've kind of got a little bit of a plan, but for the next round of the 10 weeks, when we start picking kids again, some of that could change, because right now we are going on Lexile scores, but we're using Ames Web data. Same thing he was talking about. My intentions would have been to use Atlas data, because that's what we're tested, that's what we're graded on, but that data is not available, and maybe winter, I guess, before all of that is available. So 6 months late's better than never, I guess. But we'll kind of make some of our decisions based on what we see for that second 10-week period. But a lot of that's just going to be how some of these kids perform. They kind of guarantee us that it's a good system and it works, high engagement. Everybody we've talked to, it looks like a good program. So
kind of all be performed on the Chromebooks with headphones and in the classroom or in a computer lab or something?
Yes.
The setup may be a little different between the 2 buildings. I've worked a schedule, and it's on your slide, where the paras, I can only service 4 rooms at a time. So the paras need to be present in order just to help the kids get logged in. Matter of fact, one of my 1st grade rooms, out of 22 kids, 16 will be online at one time, which then means that she'll have, 7, 8 kids that she'll be able to work with over here. The para can proctor the computer work, the tutoring, make sure everybody stays where they're supposed to on task, and then she can work with high-end students that didn't qualify for the tutoring. That was the original design, and we're going to hopefully see that works.
And we're sufficiently staffed for this new venture?
We're tight.
Okay.
Very, very tight.
Okay.
But this actually hinged on several other schedules. I have not been able to create PLC schedules until we see how this is going to work out. So we've been holding some other things, waiting to make sure that they are going to be able to do what they tell us they're going to do. And it's it's not negative, it's just being cautious.
Sure.
I don't want to say, hey, let's go headlong into this program until we get this one rolling.
Right.
And I think of our K-6 kiddos we're serving, what was it, 480 total?
480 is the limit. I have 180 something selected right now. We've left a little bit, and I talked to them. We've left a few for some move-ins, and some we're still trying to get some more data on before we completely decide. I think you're at about 260 or something.
280. Or 280
is your max.
Is my max, and we have 255 identified.
So my building a little bit different, just because less kids were able to. I have an art teacher and a computer lab teacher that I've worked their schedules around all of our activities, like our PE and art, music, and all that is in the morning. So all of our times are in the afternoon. So I'll have a couple teachers plus a para. We have a pair in every grade. So all but 6th grade will have that scenario. 6th grade, we've split them into 2 groups just because we have a band group, then we have a time at the end of the day. Some of my numbers, I think some of his numbers may be on here. 4th grade, I've got 38%, so I've got 52 students that were selected for the high impact tutoring. 45%, 55 students in 5th grade, and 74 students in 6th grade. Some of that is strictly because of scheduling as far as 6th grade. And 6th grade did need the most. Their scores showed they could use more help than the 4th and the 5th. 1st grade, I think he's got 100 students, 96 in the 2nd and 59 in the 3rd. So once his 3rd, our numbers start looking a little closer to the same. But some of those 38 or 45%, I'm not sure on all of your scores, but on mine, that sounds kind of high. But of those, like I know in 4th grade, it says there's 52 students that are selected, but of those, when we went through the selection process, there's only 16 of those kids in high need of actual, they need as many interventions as we can give them. Then there's about 12 to 15 in the middle group of, hey, we need a little help. The rest are considered average as far as Ames Webb on the Lexile scores, and they're good as far as they need some help, but they're where they need to be. We're just hoping to kind of put them over the top. So those numbers of 52 kids, really, when we start looking at ones that must have it, we can take 20 to 30 students off of those numbers all the way around. Just because we looked at who's at the highest risk, who's not showing as much growth as some of the others. Or if they just have a Lexile score that's at the very bottom. So it wasn't all just
No, a lot of those kids are on the bubble, right?
they're on the bubble.
They
So
could
that's
go either way.
and that's what we're talking about. There's 25 to 30 kids on the bubble, but the good news is they're on the top side of the bubble. So they're where they need to be, but they're close enough that let's try to give them a little
Yeah,
extra.
give them some support.
Now, we were told today too, though, that with the new Atlas screeners, they're going to either be identified at risk or no risk. There's no
medium.
median, yeah. Right now, we're working on high risk, low risk, no risk. Seems like there's a fourth one in there for minimal risk, but it'll be black and white after October.
Okay.
Okay. Board members have any questions for either of these gentlemen? I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate the work on this. I know it's been new and all up again. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move into our informational items. The first is the MOU with Black River Tech. This allows our high school to provide concurrent enrollment courses, concurrent credit courses for our high school kiddos. Couple of the MOU is what we've seen in years past, and we had to get that to them before the 1st of September, so that was something that we kind of went ahead and moved on, but I wanted to share that with the board because I felt like that was important. A couple of things just to note, differences this year is we began running, you may remember, we began running a bus out to Black River for our kiddos who would need it to be able to, they wouldn't be able to access the concurrent credit courses if we didn't provide them transportation. And I know Craig and Christian and they're all working together right now. And honestly, it's kind of just whoever's available runs out and picks those kids up, drops them off. And so, we've really had to, I say I mean, these guys really had to kind of move around some things and just be willing to be flexible with each other to make sure that our kiddos would have the access that we felt like they needed to have to get out there.
How many students do we have in that program?
Craig, Christian, do you know how many students you've got?
The CTC program? So last count, 42 or 45. I think
And how many do we have riding the bus? Do you remember?
So over there, anywhere from 8 to 12, just depends on the day, and then coming back 3 to 5. It just depends. So sometimes they get a ride from them or back, or the parent can pick them up.
Any other
This is
questions?
the first year we've started the bus, right?
It is the first year we've started the bus.
That's great.
Okay, and then I had a couple of questions from some board members on the Nabholz debrief. So I've got a little bit of information in there. What that will tell you is that will tell you where we spent the money on which item, so you've got the descriptions of work there. You've got, I can't, there it is. You've got the descriptions of work. You've got the value, how much it cost, so what we budgeted and then how much it actually cost us. And you can see down there that it did come in a little under budget. And so that's a good thing. I've got a follow-up meeting tomorrow with both Nathan and Todd to kind of go over this a little bit and then go over some other projects as well that we see on the horizon. So, do what now? Yes, sir. They're completely through. Minus, we're still waiting on some mirrors to come in, and we have a few hand dryers that Bentley has to come back over and put up. And then there is a commode in the rock building that has to be replaced. Beyond that, now, they also, the last time I talked to Nathan, he told me, well, this was probably 2 times ago, that they weren't happy. Nathan wasn't happy with the way the floors and the epoxy walls happen. I think I mentioned that before. And so we do have to schedule when they're going to come back over and redo those. That shouldn't cost us anything, but we got to get it scheduled, and I don't have a schedule for that
Are
yet.
they planning to do that maybe during a break?
Thanksgiving.
We talked about Thanksgiving, we talked about Christmas, and we talked about next summer. So I would expect one of those 3 to be the time that they come in there.
And is it those kind of things that need to be completed, is that a couple weeks, end of the month, I mean, whatever?
Well, it's whenever they come in. So like the hand dryers
We're
came
waiting on
in.
the actual product?
Yeah, because they got, I know the hand dryers got backlogged at a
Okay.
UPS center in Little Rock, and they just got here yesterday. The mirrors, I don't think we've seen yet, and the commode is still in transit as well, so. Anything else on that? Okay, then we'll move to the action items. Our first action item is our monthly financials. So the board has in their packet the board report summary that we provide each month. You also have a summary on the revenues and a summary on the expenses. And then you have the actual registers that come out of e-finance support those if you have any questions about the summaries.
Anything jump out at you as issues?
The only thing I'd point out is that you'll see anywhere, especially, we have a lot of red in our federal funds right now. The reason we have red in federal funds is because that's reimbursable, and the reimbursements haven't started yet. And so that will take care of itself. You'll notice in Fund 2, we've got some negative balances in our preschool source of funds, and the reason we have that is because in the 2005, parents haven't started paying for that yet, that we haven't receipted that yet, and then in the state preschool, again, the reimbursements don't start until October 1st.
Gotcha.
So we haven't received any of those yet. So no, there's nothing that I think is out of the ordinary. We're just waiting on, this is the time where the state's getting started. We're in the middle of cycle 1 and starting to report all of our data to the state again, so.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the monthly financials. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries 4-0.
Okay. Item 6.2 is the retention and recruitment bonus. This is something that we looked at last in our August board meeting. It has been reviewed by both certified and classified PPC. You'll notice that that's a wrong one. You'll notice that's a bonus of I believe it was $1,400 for each of our employees. As we noted last time, this is and will exhaust the district's allotment of our ARP ESSER funds. So those have to be spent. We have to encumber those by October 1st. This will allow us to do that. We have to have them liquidated by December. This will also allow us to do that. We're going to pay that out. The intention is to pay that out on this week's payroll.
This is the end of this.
This is it.
Thank God.
We got no more left.
Got it.
It'll be gone. Assuming the board approves the request.
I'll make a motion to approve it to get rid of it.
Been a motion and second to approve the retention recruitment bonus. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, motion carries 4-0.
So that'll be this week's check.
Yes. Well, it'll be a separate check, and it'll be a manual check. Okay, item 6.3, we have a couple of routine policies. These are our transportation policies. So these are section 9. You'll see there that what we have is we're just making some changes to, for example, in 9.4, instead of the title being routes, we're going to make a change where that is titled routes designations. You'll see in red on page 2 there, responsibilities of teacher/sponsor, responsibilities of principal. We're just cleaning up some wording there. I would ask that the board waive the first look at these and go ahead and approve those. 9.5 is maintenance. So instead of maintenance, we're trying to just articulate, we're talking about maintenance of the fleet for the district. Again, if the board is agreeable, I'd like to waive that first reading and go ahead and make those changes as soon as possible.
I'll make a motion to waive it and make the changes.
Do you need them at 2 or?
You can do it all at one.
Been a motion and a second to waive the reading and do the transportation policy update. All those in favor, please say yes. All opposed, no. Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, 6.4 is the elevator repair or replacement. The reason that this is an action item is because I wasn't sure how the board would feel. I would like some guidance on, currently the high school elevator is non-functional. It does not function. We need to get it functional. We have students who currently cannot eat in the cafeteria because they can't make it up can't make it upstairs. We need the elevator working. We have two options. One option is to, we've spent about $4,000 to get it operational. We're not quite there yet. It would cost us another $4,800, and I'm being told that at $4,800 we can get it operational. It's old. It's an old elevator, and it has cosmetic issues. Just being honest, there are some that are going to would get in there, and the door's closed. It's like, is this going to really get me where I need to go?
What are you being? Who's looking over this? Junior and.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, but we called in, we've had to call in elevator
Long-term, what is our
services.
best solution?
So we can get it working at $4,800. To get a new one in there, it's gonna cost us between $60,000 and $70,000. Now
Is this gonna be we're at 8,800, is this gonna be a reoccurring every year?
Probably,
possibly?
yeah, probably.
That's what I was kind of afraid
Do you
of.
know how much we've spent on it over the past, say, 5 years? I mean,
I-
has there been
I
annual
don't-
maintenance that's been required?
Honestly, I don't think it's been working that long because the truth is there hasn't really been a need for it.
Oh, we haven't had the students that we need to service?
Right. To my knowledge, right? Now,
We've been through this thing 4 years ago, I think we replaced it. Is there any alternative for, I know we gotta meet the guidelines, handicap guidelines, is there any alternative?
well, I know Craig and Courtney met with the gentleman who comes up and takes a look at these and talks to us about replacement. And they did talk about a ramp, but that ramp, from what and Craig, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but from what I gather, that ramp would have been like a half-mile long.
You need a lot of ramp, and by the time you put all the material into it, you're gonna be just as bad, maybe worse than me.
The only access they really got is up to the steps.
You got the steps going
There's
from
a
the
side.
side, there's steps from outside.
And I'll be honest with you, I mean, I also understand that, currently, I mean, we know that building's not the code, but you're not supposed to, from what I understand, when you open that door, there's supposed to be a landing there. Well, as soon as that door on the south side, I mean, it's an immediate step down, right? That's an issue. And so, it's one of those things where as we start thinking about, or as we continue to think about, because we've already started, as we continue to think about the future of the district and the future of that building and the resources that it's going to require to, keep that building where it is, standing, functional. You ask me long term, we're going to have to put money in there sometime.
Well, you know what I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, it's out in the weather, outside, all the time. Would we be better off to possibly encase it somehow so far as, to keep it out of the weather and the elements? Because anything with motors and stuff are probably going to have a 2 to 3 year lifespan in the weather.
And it technically is, and honestly, he was like, this is what schools have. He didn't act like we went cheap when we bought it.
Yeah.
It is an outdoor weather television. This is, y'all have got what you need.
Okay.
It's just old.
Now, we have talked about, because there is a need to put an awning over that, right? I mean, like currently, all of our students can get from the junior high to the high school in the rain without getting rained on, right? If we have students that need to access the cafeteria who are also accessing the elevator lift, they cannot do it under and stay dry.
Yes.
Right? And so that's another that's another cost that we're going to have to look at fairly soon.
I would say put that much money into the building that's falling down anyway. You know, that's a lot.
What did you say, Gary? I'm sorry.
And I hate to put that much money into a building that's falling down already.
Into a building that's falling down on that?
Where would the funds come from? Is there a certain, like, is there a grant, or is there, since it's more of a handicapped accessible?
So we would have to, that's either going to come out of our operating or it's going to come out of our building fund.
Okay.
You cannot use, we cannot use special education designated money because that's something that we have to provide for access to that building.
Probably, I guess the 4,800, the additional 4,800, that's the fastest route to get it operational.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say we come back and revisit it and, you know, get it operational,
I agree.
you know, and then look at other things long term.
And that's what I wanted some direction here on what that might look like.
And if we've already spent the 4,000, whomever is our advisor on the elevator has guaranteed us that this $4,800 fix will actually fix it for maybe the duration of the school year? Or
Now I haven't talked to him myself, but that's the message that I'm getting from those who have talked to him.
Well, I think we do that. I'm a little bit concerned that we don't have any coverage over it where it's protected. But second of all, if we have a handicapped student that has to use it, that's got to be out in the rain, I don't think that's good.
Right.
So I think we need to revisit it, get it operational, and then revisit the thing overall and fix it right the next time.
Well, I mean, the next step is going to be, to cover it, is going to be an awning that goes from the high school to that lift.
Are we talking from, I guess, from the breezeway to the gymnasium?
I think so,
Over,
yeah.
we can, okay.
Out that east side.
And I'm thinking if it was something like, and now this is just me thinking, but if it's something where you sort of recreate what we have between the junior high and the high school, then it looks like it all fits together, right?
Right, yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So, okay. All right, so item 6.5, the Alma Pikes Elementary Building. We have Judge Wicker and members of the Quorum Court with us, and they've asked to address the board.
We were just I said it was under the threshold as far as what you needed a motion.
Yeah, no, that's, since we're choosing not to spend the 60,000 right now,
Okay.
then I can take care of it for us. Okay.
Good afternoon. So, Quorum Court gave me the authority to come and present an offer for the Alma Pikes buildings. Do not have a full court here for any decision making, so I want to present a number, but our number came up to be 450,000. Just want to present it to the board and see what you all thought.
Now, are you talking about just the property that the building, including the Swanson Hotel and that? You don't want to know the question?
Yes.
You talking for quarter?
You're talking about the whole thing?
Yes, sir.
Just so we're clear. Because we have tried to, before, break that out, thought about some different stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it. We can, one of the if the board wants to, I mean, we're at the end of our action items.
I have a question.
Okay.
Judge. Is it just, are y'all going to consolidate offices? Is that the goal for county use for this?
That is the goal. There is several things that we need. Some of our buildings are super bad shape, and it is super hard to rebuild them while we're currently in them. So that is one of the things that we're looking for. We're looking for more space for growth. Our county has grown tremendously in the last few years. That's one of the biggest things that we're after is just more space for growth.
Thank you.
So one of the, as you know, one of the things that the board can do is that the board can enter into executive session for reasons of real estate, to discuss real estate. And so that could be an option if that's something the board wanted to do. Or the board could thank Judge Wicker for the,
Can we invite Judge Wicker into?
you do have that ability, yes, you do.
I'm in favor of, speaking about it a little bit more in executive session.
Okay? I've got 6:48. Would you like to go ahead and?
Yeah, at this time, the board will go into executive session for the purpose of real estate and...
We do have some personnel items.
And some personnel items. Thank you. Okay, get that. Been on the spot.
Okay. Brent, you're back on.
The board's going to go back into session now.
8:01.
8:01. Coming out of executive session, talking about the offer from the county and Judge Wicker. At this time, the board is going to decline that offer, but we would entertain another offer. We appreciate you putting that in, and like I say, we talked about it, but we would entertain another offer on it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do the personnel agenda, and then we'll come back to the district informational updates. So we also are recommending the approval of the personnel agenda as noted. So we have one resignation from Sharon Snodgrass as the SPED aide at the elementary building. We're recommending one modification. That's Zach Avery. We put him on a bus driving contract, and so I'd like to make that official this evening. And then we've got two new hires. One, we've invited Christina Conway to join us again for 6th grade. You may remember that that was one that I had talked to y'all about, that we were about 4 or 5 kids over our allotted number, and so we needed to add that 6th grade. And I know the 6th grade teachers are glad to have Ms. Conway back on the team. And then we have a new hire, Cheyenne Olmstead, as a SPED one-on-one aide also at the elementary school. So we would need a motion to approve and accept the personnel agenda.
Make a motion.
Second.
Been a motion and a second to approve the personnel agenda. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries 4-0.
Is listed. Okay. I want to just go back up to the district informational updates. Just a quick update that the ASBA regional conference is going to be held in Jonesboro on October 15th at 5:30 p.m. Board members are welcome to attend. I'll be happy to get anybody registered that would like to attend. Ruth, we have you on that list to go at this time.
I'd like to just
Okay.
attend.
I'd rather check on that.
Okay. All right. Just let me know, and they'd like us to get registered 7 days before, so we've got plenty of time. And then I wanted to just give you a quick update. Met last Friday with the superintendent's senior advisory group that we put together. This is about 20 of our seniors in the senior class, and Christian and Ms. Stewart was there as well, and we had a good discussion. All of them were very willing to offer their thoughts and ideas. We talked primarily about the situation with cell phones in the secondary buildings, and they were they sort of was pleasantly surprised. They were very open to the district and the board doing something that would limit their cell phone use even further during the school day. A couple of the kiddos mentioned that a process in Miss Vickery's class right now where they literally have to put their phones in a little bag on like a shoe, what do you call it, on the closet. Thank you, yes. And they felt like that they were much more focused, felt like that they were learning more when they didn't have their cell phones available to them. And so they really warmed to the idea of the having a bag that we would provide for them, that like those Go Dark bags that would block the cell phone signals, the Bluetooth signals, things like that. And they were very open to the idea of starting second semester. We even talked about if that was something we were going to do, they would, you know, they've got an ask of their own, right? If we're gonna do that, and that's something that we feel like would be beneficial to them, they feel like it would be beneficial. Their ask is maybe we could look at letting them have their cell phones over lunchtime, right? That kind of thing. So I thought it was a very nice dialogue to have with them. And then the other thing we surfaced the one-to-one Chromebook piece, and do our kiddos feel like there's benefit to carrying around a Chromebook all day? And I'm just, you know, a sneak peek on that. We're going to have more conversation about that, as they really don't. Our seniors would like to give back the Chromebooks and would like to say, you know, if I need to check one out, please let me check one out. But, you know, carrying them around all day, not really interested in that, because kids aren't typically if they are a representative sample, they're not taking them home and using them at nighttime, right? And so
Needed, I mean, they're just not needed, the teachers.
a lot of them don't need them. A lot of what I gathered was there are several things that they need to be able to do that the Chromebooks will not allow them to do.
Especially if you're taking concurrent classes.
Right, that's what they talked about, right? So it's not really meeting their needs either.
Paying just traditional laptop.
And right now, the truth is, we're sinking about $150,000 a year into Chromebooks. And I'm not convinced, and after listening to them, I'm even more so not convinced that we're really getting our bang for our buck on those Chromebooks. So that's further conversation. And then I wanted to just highlight that our Redskins Rising program, the after-school program, it's clicking along real well. We're getting better at the pickup process and getting kids on the bus. We're running at around 80 to 85 kiddos right now. And so that's keeping everybody busy over there. And Craig's set up, we've got 2 different bus routes running out. We're running long bus routes in some of those areas where kids are, you know, the buses are on the road quite a bit, but those kiddos wouldn't be able to participate if we weren't running the buses. So, I mean, I think that's a good thing that.
What all entails in that program?
So it's they come in, we bring them over from the elementary school. They stay at MD. They take them into the cafeteria. The first thing they do is they feed them a snack. So our Victoria and her team has set up. Those kids are getting snacks, and then they break up into their houses, kind of like a Harry Potter kind of thing, you know, houses. They break up into their houses, and then they do homework. They tutor them from a homework standpoint. There's also activities that they're doing on a daily basis, and those activities rotate so that on Mondays they might be doing an art activity, on Tuesdays they might be doing a physical education kind of activity, on Wednesday that kind of thing, and then they're just doing kind of fun but educational activities with them. And so the kids seem really excited about it when they come out. I know it's very difficult to get them to sit down and wait for the bus to get there and get them in line and that kind of thing. But from what I gather, it's very much something that our community is thankful for. Now I am putting a little bit of district money into that as well, because one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to buy some what are called Just Right readers to help support the science of reading piece, to be able to give those to kids and let them take them home. The state would only approve those because they're consumables, so we're going to give them to kids and let them have them. The state wanted something that was a little bit more like, you give it out, collect it back, we'll keep it for the next year, that kind of thing. But they said they would be willing to go halves on it, so I'm building into the budget enough to cover half of the cost of those readers so that we can give those things to kids and just let them take them home. They can bring them back with them, take them home, and just, keep them, for lack of a better term, because I think that's going to be the best thing for our kiddos. So,
Are we trying to get to that 100 number that we had previously discussed? as
I mean,
far as capacity?
that's the goal, that's the capacity. We had 116 sign up,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So.
But we consistently have 85.
About
actually.
80 to 85 that we're feeding snacks to every day. And some of them, what happens is, the feds say they have, we're keeping attendance, right, on that, because we have to as a part of the grant. And we have some that, maybe one parent signed them up, but, this is my week and I don't want my kids to go, kind of thing. And so there's some of that. And when they miss, I think it's 3 or 4 times, then we can't serve them anymore because
They're no longer included in the program.
yeah, because they're not eligible any longer.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
any other questions, or I'm trying to think if it looks like we've hit everything. If there's no other questions, then we just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.